Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's edition of Through It All. Through It All is all about encouragement. It's all about giving people hope. It's all about us sharing our stories to let people know that whatever you have been through or what you are going through now, somebody else has been through it. And by God's grace, they are who they are today. So it's all about letting you know that you need not give up. You need not throw in the towel and say, oh, all is finished. All is not finished. All can't be finished. Especially if you are someone that can put your trust in God. He's the one that created you. And he has thoughts, he has plans for your life. If you will not give up, and if you will go to your creator, it's going to make the blueprint of your life to start running. And you discover that you are better, much better than who or what you think you are, even now. All right, so welcome to Through It All. The program, the name Through It All was derived from my book, Through It All. I wrote the book to share the story of my life, all the things I've been through in life also, all the trials, all the woes, all the troubles, and how God showed up for me. All right, so if you're interested in the book, you can always send either a text to me on the number on your screen, or just visit tia.com.ng, and you can always download the soft copy of the book or order for the hard copy, and it will be shipped to you promptly. All right, so once again, welcome to Through It All. And I was reading the story of David and Jonathan. Jonathan happened to be the son of Saul, the first king of Israel. And the way both of them struck that friendship that, I mean, when the father of Jonathan was trying to kill David, Jonathan was all the time there. He was always there for David. He was always revealing to David what plan his father has in mind against him, and was always informing him. And when it was time that it looked like Jonathan presents this guy, or I kill you too, Jonathan told David, run very far. Don't even look back. And I got to that junction and I said, wow, what a friendship. That's a friend that sticketh more than a brother. And of course, the only thing I could do is to pray. Yes, thank God for friends that I have in my life that have pushed my life this far. They have been there. When things were so tough, they were there. So remembering Jonathan, I was there for David. I remembered those, my friends, and I thank God for their lives. And sincerely speaking, as you move on in life, you would always need people like that. New friends that would always need to be there for you, paving the way, opening the doors, letting gates open unto you, And if it's only people that will stand by you to counsel you, to advise you, to even at times, even just indeed, they are there to just tell you, oh, don't worry, you can make it. They are there to encourage you. So I prayed this today when I read the story. I said, God, I need such friends again, friends like Jonathan. So maybe you too need to pray. Some of you have said, no, I don't need a friend. I've discovered that no man is an island. You would always need people as you are going. Friends that stick close to you, even more than even brothers, your brethren, your siblings. So pray for such, because you always need them as you're going on. I knew Rami and Rose friends prayed in my life in the past. God will give you such friends in Jesus' name. All right, so we go into the business of today. My guest for today's edition of True It All is somebody that I met at a program in Oyo. We're both invited as speakers. I think she spoke first, and I said, wow, wow. In fact, she really wowed me, you know. And incidentally, I think I was the last person to speak that day. And something I said really struck a chord in her also. And from there, she had introduced me to people. She had invited me to our school to come deliver lectures. And I mean, just talking about friendship, it starts from where you can never imagine. All right. And I'm so glad to have her on True It All tonight. Because I know she's somebody so busy. And so for her to accept to feature, I don't take it for granted. All right. So my guest tonight is Professor Oyedunni Arulogun. She's going to be introducing herself the more so that you know who she is. And of course, she's somebody that indeed so humble, so humble. I don't even know another name to call her. Humble, kind, wonderful. I really appreciate her so much. Professor Arulogun, good evening, ma. How are you today?
Good evening, sir. I'm fine, and thank you for inviting me to your program.
The pleasure is mine. The pleasure is mine, ma. The pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for agreeing to feature on True It All. You know, she asked me, she said she thought True It All is for big people. And I said, yes, it's for big people because she's one also, even though, yes, it's cut across. We've had people that even didn't go to school feature on True It All. So it cut across. So it's not just big, it's for the downtrodden and everyone. So somebody will not say, oh, it's because they are there, that's why they are saying so. It's for every one of us. So welcome, ma. I really appreciate having you on True It All tonight. Thank you, ma.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. The first person that can talk about himself or herself is the person that had gone through issues in life. So for us to start, I would really want you to introduce yourself to us, ma. Who is Professor Oyedunni Arulogun?
Thank you very much. My name is Oyedunni Arulogun. I'm the second of 5 children born to late Pa Samuel Folorunso and Mama Titilola Anike Oshowole. I hail from Awe in Oyo State. Grew up in Ibadan, went to UMC demonstration school as my primary school, and then went to Federal Government Girls College, BIDA, for my secondary school. And that was a wow experience for me, because I used to make a joke that if not that I went to FGGC BIDA, my parents would never have crossed the Niger, because they took me there the first time. And up until I was in Form 3, I would write to say we are vacating on this day. So my father would come and pick me again from the Ibadan to Bida and back to Ibadan until I got to Form 3. And I said, let me join my friends to travel by train. So I then went to Oyo State College of Arts and Science for my A levels, and then University of Ibadan. where I had my first degree in special education. I had a master's in special education. I have a master of public health and a PhD in health promotion and education. And I've had opportunities to receive short-term trainings in many parts of the world, at the Galilee International Management Institute, Israel, Margaret Sanger Institute in South Africa, School of Public Health, Chan School of Public Health in the United States. And I've had opportunities to meet with different people across the world. In Nigeria, I love meeting people. I love to make friends. And so I started my career at the University College Hospital, Ibadan, as the speech therapist. And that I did for 13 years before crossing to the University of Ibadan as a lecturer. And I joined the University of Ibadan in 2002 as a lecturer 1 and became a professor in year 2012. And that journey, I would say, was not what I planned, but looking back, is God ordained. Wow. Because if you ask me as a young, what I would like to become, I didn't know. I thought a lawyer, a medical doctor, all manner of thoughts in my mind. And fortunately, in my secondary school, we had a class where you can actually do both science and arts. And in that class, I love literature. I didn't want to drop literature. And I was doing physics, chemistry, biology. So in that class, you could do your physics, chemistry, biology. You can do literature, religious studies. And interestingly, it's in that class that we were doing additional mathematics. So I found myself in that class, so that wherever I found myself, whether I ended up in science or I ended up in arts, I'll have this in subjects. And then when I went to A levels, I went into social science. I picked up government, which I've never done before. So that's why sometimes I refer to myself as a hybrid, because I've been to all the social science, and art. So, but at the end of the day, I just told myself, it doesn't matter what I become anymore, but one thing is important: excellence. Because I wanted to be, I taught with all manner of professions, but at the end of the day, at that time, no counselors, no to say, okay, do this, do that. But I told myself, it doesn't matter anymore what I become in life. But one thing is important: excellence. I will brand my work with excellence. And that followed me up to where I am today. And as of today, I am the current director of the University of Ibadan Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Thank you.
Wow. In fact, I almost wanted you to keep going on and on and on. And of course, the first question that crossed my mind was what you actually answered along the line, how you ended up as a professor. Was it that you've really always had everything planned out? But of course, you just mentioned it that you really had a lot of things coming into your mind, and then until you settled for the field you are now. Thank you so much for that detailed introduction. All right, so when I see professors, I just wonder, I say, so how did they get here? Is it that God so blessed them and from the onset everything was just really aligning for them, and then suddenly they found themselves where they are now? All right. So I want us to go into your story, Professor Arulogun. I want you to take us through your story. Like I always tell my guests, let's take it from Genesis, and then let's take it all the way to Revelation. All right, sir, ma. All right. I want you to tell us your story, ma.
Thank you very much, sir. I knew that growing up, I love to do a lot of experiments. And most of those experiments, it was during my inaugural lecture, I openly confessed my sins. I said, well, I'm openly confessing my sins today. We were using coal iron those days to iron. I had to feel how the plate will look like, whether it will burn my hands or not. I put my hands there. I tried to see the tip of the silencer of the car, whether it was going to burn me. I saw a nail coming out from a plank, and I wanted to see if it was going to pierce through my slippers. And that particular one, it pierced my slippers, it pierced my feet, and blood started coming out. And then my mom said, so I ran inside, and she said, where did you get this? I said, I mistakenly stepped on nail. She said, in this house. I said, yes. She said, let's go there. We got there, she said, no, this is deliberate. This cannot be. If it's accidental, it will not pierce your slippers, not to talk of your feet. And she said, well, it's okay. You are the one that is going to carry the pain. She dressed it, and the following day she took me to get anti-tetanus. So I've always loved adventure, and that was what took me to be there in the first instance. Growing up, our parents give us leeway to make a choice of school, of career. So my elder sister got admission into the federal government colleges, but they didn't allow her to go. But I told myself, except they didn't give me admission. Once they give me admission, I will go. It doesn't matter where it was. So any school I got admission into, I told myself, well, it doesn't matter, wherever they want me to go, I will go, provided I was not given admission in a federal government girls' college. So when the letter of admission came, my father said, oh, your letter had come. I wanted to jump up. Something said, why don't you let him finish what he was going to say? Then he said, well, you are not going to go because, I said, why? He said, because he's far. The place is called Bida. They've never been there before. They don't know anybody, and I was not going to go. I said, but that's where I wanted to go. I didn't remember what I said. It was later my mom told me why they gave up. My mom said, I told them that the primary school I was going, were they following me there? That no. And that I told them, the God that you entrusted me to follow me to primary school, why don't you entrust me to that God? Wow. To follow me many kilometers away from home? She said, when I said that, they looked at each other and said, well, what else can we say? And then she did something again. She rolled 3 towns in paper for us to do balloting. The 3 places I've been given admission. I was given admission at Baptist High School, Ede, St. Anne's, Ibadan, and Bida. So she rolled Ibadan, Ede, and Bida in paper, called myself and my 2 younger siblings to come and pick. And lo and behold, I picked Bida. She said, you and this your Bida. So that was how I ended up in Bida. So that gave me opportunity to see another part of Nigeria. So from early in child, I related with people from different parts of the country. I saw the beauty in other cultures. I had friends from the north, from the east. So it was great fun for me going there. And so I still keep some of my good friends are friends that I made while I was in BIDA. So that was how my BIDA journey went. And so, I mean, we did all manner of, we would go and climb tree, we would do many things, naughty things. And we had a fantastic principal. In those days, federal government colleges, we had a Briton as your principal. First principal was a Briton, vice principal was an Egyptian, Mr. Kalek. Then we went on, we had Nigerian principal. And we had this principal, she was a phenomenon, Miss Shodeinde. Fantastic woman. We were afraid of her, but she taught us values of life. In fact, we used to say she has two voices. At some time, the voices would be pretty. At some other time, the voices would be something else. And she would tell us, she would come in the middle of the night to come and check us in the hostel. And she would say, you are girls, how can you sleep without your nightgown on? Supposing there was danger, you would have forgotten you didn't wear anything. You would just run out like that. And she would ensure we were all at the prep. And she gave us 3 things. And she ensured that those things were written on our classes. And up till today, those things ring in our head. The first thing is that manners maketh man. The second is it pays better to be respectful. And the third is that knowledge without excellent character carries me nowhere. Those 3 things I've never forgotten. And I keep saying it where I have opportunity to talk to young people. So she made us learn those things to say, look, if you don't have manners, you can't go anywhere. So she was a fantastic woman. She makes fun. She also makes fun. During WAEC, she will open every mail and she will tell you, no, I'm not interested in reading your boyfriend's letters, but I don't want you to bring expo to my school. But when she reads letter written by a boyfriend, she will be calling the name of the boyfriend on the assembly. She will be saying, Brother Joe, a very fantastic woman. So she molded us. In fact, there was a day we also played pranks on her. There was a day she said she was going to suspend us because we misbehaved. And at that time, coming to school, federal government will give us transport money. And when we are going home, they will give us transport money. And the transport money is by the address you wrote when you came in. So many people wrote that they go to Maiduguri. And in those days, Maiduguri people were getting the highest amount of money, 23 naira. That was a lot of money. Those of us coming to Ibadan, they gave us 6 naira. That was a lot of money. Those going to Lagos got 8 naira. So fantastic time. So we then packed our load and said we were even ready to go home. And then we demanded for transport money from her. That after all, federal government would give us money to go home anyway. And that was the end of the story. That was the end of the story. So we ensured that there was no expo during WAEC. Because she did zoology, she herself will come and teach. When WAEC is coming, she will teach biology. So we had this fantastic principal. And so later in years when I met her, she was so excited. She even gave me money and I said, Ma, I'm the one supposed to give you money. She said, no. And this is how I love to see my girls. I love to see you doing well. And recently, I think 2 years ago, thereabout, some of us fished her out from where she lives, took pictures with her, and we had fond memories of her. So she shaped our future. Then I went on to HSC. I met different set of friends. At the HSC level, I took up a new course, government I've never done before. But in all of that, God is faithful.
Wow.
And when I said God just ordered my footsteps, while I was preparing to enter the university, the first time I didn't make enough points in my A levels, and I had to go back. And so I tell people, if I don't tell you I have failed before, you won't know. Failure is part of life. So I had to go and take my A levels. And during that time, I saw another person I could look up to as a mentor, one of our lecturers who taught us unseen poetry. In unseen poetry, you read the poem, you are supposed to factor in the picture. Yeah. And so this man at that time was a Mr. Da Silva. He would pick his chalk and draw what the poem was saying. And I would sit down there and say, if I ever become a teacher, I would ensure that the way I have enjoyed Mr. Da Silva's class, my students will enjoy me. So eventually, when I met him in UI as a professor, I went to meet him. I said, sir, you taught me in A levels, and this is the impact you made on my life. So now we are the divine guide. It's divine guide that took me there and brought me back. And that divine guidance continued when I was to come into the university. Even after taking the A levels, I wanted to do English single honors. But if you asked me then what I was going to do with it, I don't know. All I just loved English. So I didn't have enough points for English. So I needed to write a letter of change of course. At that time, there were no telephones, nothing. So, and I went all alone to the University of Ibadan campus. Nobody followed me. And I needed to write a change of course at the spur of the moment. And so they gave me 3 options, that either I change to guidance and counseling, or adult education, or physical and health education. And on the spur of the moment, based on my thinking as a young girl, I said, I can't teach adults, so that is my own interpretation of adult education. I didn't know in adult education you have international relations, social work. I didn't, but just by the name adult education, I can't teach adults. So I knocked that out. Physical and health education, I said, I can't be doing jumpology. I cannot be doing jumpology. So I was left with special education. I couldn't knock it out because I've never had it before. I didn't know what it was all about. And I wanted to just come into the university. So I wrote a change that I'm changing to special education. And I was told that if after first year, if I still wanted to change back, I could. So I got home and I told my mom, well, they said my point cannot enter English or guidance and counseling, and I've written change of course for special education. By the way, she was a teacher.
Okay.
So she said she wasn't going to discourage me. That one of her teachers went to read special education. That when he was going, all of them were saying, so you didn't even see any course, just this special education. But that the man is now an inspector in the ministry. All of them that are saying he's doing special education are still in the classroom. So she said she was not going to discourage me. So I started special education. And when I started, I saw that there were specialties. And I told myself, it is this particular specialty or nothing. And that was speech pathology and audiology. And I asked, what will it take for me to specialize? I said, you need to score 70, you need to do this. I said, fine, if that is all, but it is this specialty or nothing. And so that was how I specialized in speech pathology and audiology.
Wow.
That was what made me get my first job as a speech therapist. Why did I insist? Why did I change to special education? I didn't know, but I knew God was ordering my footsteps. Why didn't I change back? I just fell in love with that specialty. And I remember one of my uncle's friends, when my uncle said, oh, she just gained admission into the university and in special education. And the man looked at me and said, so that it was bad enough that that I wanted to go in for education, but worse still, I didn't even see any other aspect of education, special education. And he started demonstrating to me that all I'll be left with was to use sign language, and that there's only one place I can get job in Nigeria, and that place was Federal College of Education, Special Oyo. And as a person, I don't like people I don't look down on people, and I don't want people to look down on me. And I didn't know what was in the future for me. But I just told him, oh, Uncle, you know what? I'm going to get one of the best jobs, and I will come back and tell you. I didn't know what I was saying. But I said that because I said, why would you look down on me now? Because I went to do education. Why are you looking down on me? And I told him, I said, Uncle, you know what? I'm going to get one of the best jobs, and I will come back to tell you. I didn't have to teach in Federal College of Education, or where we met.
Yes.
But I have gone back there as a facilitator for one program or the other. But that special education that he said I didn't find it, I have met people from all walks of life because of the virtue that I was a speech therapist at that time. And I had touched more lives by that. And so every time I have an opportunity, I go back to the Faculty of Education. I go back to my department to say, I am your ambassador. Don't let anybody run you down. The only person that will not make you do what you want to do is yourself. Because it's possible that when all those comments were coming to say, then it means I will never be anybody. But I took that as a challenge to say, I will prove to you that the fact that I have a degree in education, I am not a second-class citizen. So I go back as often as I have the opportunity to say, if you are downcast, remember somebody called Arulogun, who had passed through this place before. So you need to build your self-worth, your self-capacity. So that was how and then when I started as a speech therapist, I then knew why the choice of going to be there was strong on my mind. I had many patients from the north, and I said, oh, so God took me there to learn Hausa language, because he knew that I would have to deal with people of the northern extract on my journey of life. And I said, wow, I really didn't make use of that opportunity to learn Hausa language. I could speak a few, but not like if I could look into the crystal ball to say, you are going to meet a lot of northern people in the future, then I would have been so. And of course, at that time also, maybe why many of us didn't learn the language in Bida was Nupe. But maybe why many of us didn't learn the language was, in our school at that time, when you take away English language, the next language was Yoruba language, because like half of us were from Yoruba land. So when you remove English, the next language was Yoruba. So every other person were forced to learn Yoruba outside English. So that I picked a few Nupe was, I just wanted to learn that language. And I picked it up from our gardeners, the woman who comes to sell granules to us, to sell sugarcane to us. So I will ask, what is sugarcane? They say sugarcane is Pasonoko. And I will ask, what kind of name is this? So So I learned was good morning, good afternoon. So when then eventually I then now met other Nupe people who were my friends. So I still greet them in Nupe. And then they look at me and say, you speak this language so well. And I said, that is all I know about Nupe.
That's all I know.
Beyond that, that is all I know. So that's how my journey started, from my special education to speech therapy. Now, how did I then port from speech therapy into the academics?
Okay.
I had done my first degree in special education. I had my master's in special education, and I was actually on a PhD in special education.
Wow.
When I got this job, and my head of department then, I always say, wherever I tell my success story, I mention his name, just like you said, that you have friends. And so wherever I will mention his name, Professor GTA Ijaduola. So he called me one day and said, why don't you go and take a Master of Public Health degree? I've never heard of it before.
Okay.
And he said, I think it will be better for you. I said, really? So I took it as a challenge, and I suspended the PhD I was doing to pick up a new master's. So when I did, I said, wow, this is interesting. I think I don't want to go to that PhD anymore. So when I finished the NPH, I decided to take a PhD in health promotion. And he helped me when it was time to pick my PhD topic. I just shared with him that my supervisor says, and at that time, HIV/AIDS was new. So my Master of Public Health dissertation was among long-distance truck drivers. I found their perception of vulnerability to HIV and their attitude towards condom use. So, and I didn't want to deviate too much, because I didn't want to spend the whole time doing a PhD. So I said, let me stay in a familiar terrain. And because during PhD, you need to do an intervention. So I said, okay, HIV is new. Let me work among nurses and doctors to look at their knowledge and then do an intervention. But I knew that as I was thinking about it, I knew I might face some roadblocks. And I just discussed with my head of department, Professor Ijaduola. I said, sir, I'm having issues with choosing a topic. He said, hey, so what's the topic? I told him. He looked at me and said, Oniyeyenye. He said, which doctor, that you are not a medic, which doctor will come and sit under you for you to teach them about HIV? He said, look, your project is dead on arrival. He then said, but you have two fields of specialization. You have special education, you have public health. So why don't you look at the two together for your PhD? It didn't occur to me. Me, that I'm the owner of the two specialties, I didn't think about it. I said, I know you want to still stay with HIV. Why don't you look at HIV among the deaf people? That they can't hear. Do they even know what everybody is talking about? So I picked up that challenge. That was how I did my PhD on HIV among deaf people. And a colleague of mine told me that for many years, the publication from that study was the one they were referring to in South Africa when they were looking for literature about HIV and persons with disabilities. So he then opened and said, oh, so I can actually marry these two fields together. And I had used those two to write proposals for funding with WHO and all of that, looking at deaf people and my new specialty of health promotion and education. Now, that is the profession that people thought, so So God used my head of department then to channel me into public health. He used him to open my eyes to see, look, you have a gold in your hand, unrefined gold. So because of that experience, so my students, when they come, I say, I should give them a topic. I say, I don't have a topic for you. What is your background? Because in my department, we are essentially a postgraduate department. And I say, what is your background? Go and look at the public health significance or component of your background. So the only thing that will sustain you is the interest that you have in the topic. If I give you a topic, it is my interest and not your own. But I want you to own it. Go and look for it. There is no aspect of life that does not have the public health aspect of it. So go back and think. Your primary discipline, what is the public health? But God used Professor Jadola to open my eyes to that. And since then, I haven't looked back. And so I am here today as a professor of health promotion with the help of God, because it is not he that willeth or runneth. It is God that should.
Hallelujah. Wow. Wow. You know, you've said many things that have really hit me, more especially those 3 lessons learned from your principal. You know, manner maketh a man, and pay better,
Respect.
better, to respect, and the manner without
That excellent character
excellence.
carries me nowhere.
Wow. You know, when I saw the respect thing, I said, oh, okay, now I know where you picked that from. You know, the way you respect everybody, no matter who they are. Wow. And it just shows that, everything as parents, as people that have mentors or whatever, the things we say, the things we do, we don't know how far it's going to impact their lives. Because I saw that in those 3 lessons. And of course, your lecturer that also was not that the way he taught poems, bringing it alive, impacting you to say, I will always teach my students in a way they will understand. Wow. It's just a way for anyone doing that, have people you are mentoring or people you are teaching things. You need to pay attention to that, because you're still referring to these things years after, those things happened to you.
Let me just cut you short. There are 3 of my lecturers that made an impact on me like that. The first person I mentioned was in A levels. Now, when I got into UI education, I still had English as my teaching subject. And I belonged to Dr. Ashaolu, then a Dr. Ashaolu's tutorial group. And I've never seen a meticulous man like that in my life. His office is sparkling. I'll say, what kind of man is it? Everywhere is in order. And let you know the level of order. When we are to sit his exam, before we get to the exam hall, Dr. Ashaolu would have written our matric numbers on the answer booklets. And all you need to do is when you enter, look on the blackboard, he already put you in rows. So just look at which row your number is. And I say, wow. I've never seen another person do that. I tried, but me only catch up. But at least I know that when people enter my office, they say, wow, that was an impact. But I couldn't catch up with writing matric numbers on answer booklets and going to the exam hall and making sure I already arranged students.
Now everyone will see it.
Catch up with that. So that was another one. Now, the third person was Professor William Briger. He's an American. Okay. He was in Nigeria then. He was a lecturer. And at that time, he was still doing his PhD when I was there for my Master of Public Health. So he traveled back to the US to finish his PhD. And he gave us an assignment. And he went through the assignments and posted the assignments one by one to everybody from the US. I say, another one to lele you. I kept my own envelope with the stamp to say, this is another dimension. He had the choice of putting everything in one envelope. There was no email there, nothing. He had the choice to put all our assignments in an envelope and mail it. But he posted it individually. And I said, this one is another one. Those three people, if there's anything I do today that my students are saying, oh, this person is different, these three people have real impact on my life. Coupled with the fact that there were values I got from my mom as a teacher, growing up, seeing how committed she was to her duties, to the values I got from my dad. My dad was a civil servant. He retired as the Chief Inspector of Taxes in Oyo State when he retired in 1983. And I saw integrity. I saw honesty. We didn't have money, but I could beat my chest and say, I am the daughter of somebody. And even now, it's 23 years now that he's dead. Sometimes I just mention my maiden name, Oshowole, and people say, are you related to this person? I say, it's my father. Doors just open unto me. And I then told myself, I don't have a choice but to keep this good name. If years after this man is gone, his name is still opening doors for me. Wow. It is my responsibility to keep that name. And the name I'm bearing now to also keep the name, so that the virtues, the values that I got, I should also pass it down to the coming generation.
Wow, wow. In fact, this is a big lesson on its own. You know, as you were saying it, I remembered one of my lecturers in school then, Professor Lawi. You know, when Prof for the maybe 45 minutes lecture, it will lecture you for like 20-25 minutes. The remaining minutes is telling us about life. It's telling us about future. It's telling us about what you can do with the course. It's telling us, and it does this almost, on a very regular basis. There's nothing I become now that I won't remember him. And you see, just like we were trying to do, I actually learned that from him, that even when you teach people, bring the practical side of it. Let them know they can apply whatever you are telling them, even to your life. It made his course come alive, because it will just, even things that are not in the course, it will just start telling us applicability of many things he's saying. It will tell us his life story, how everything that he thought would not work started working out. And I discovered that also made a lot of impact on my life. So anyone that, whether you're a lecturer in any institution, or anyone that you have opportunity to mentor, please, what you do today, they're going to talk about it years to come. If you do it well, they will say you did it well. But if you were so harsh, I also had lecturers that you just go to the class and you just do like this. Everything they have said is like Greek. You dare not ask questions. Say, go and read your textbook. So it's always as good as not even being in class because you don't understand. Wow, thank you so much for bringing that side to the whole thing. You know, I always have that imagination that people that go the academic way, they don't have time for other things in life. It's just academics, academics, academics. Is that true of you, man?
No, sir.
Okay. So, how did you create time for other things? I know I've met your husband, and so I want to know how those things came along, and it was not just a one-way thing.
Well, I guess that my journey of life helped me. I guess that by virtue of the various subject combinations that I took helped me. And I always know that you cannot survive in isolation. I said earlier, I love to make friends. I love to talk to people. So incidentally, I had many elderly people as my friends. Now that we are talking, I remember Mama Williams of blessed memory. She was my friend as a child in primary school.
Okay.
I would just pass in front of her house and greet her. So I became her friend. Sometimes I will sit down with her, I'll be gisting with her, gist. So when they send me on an errand and I'll pass by her house, they know I'm going to come back late because I will branch in her house. So she will tell me stories. And then when her house is like 4 houses away from our house on Oshosami there, then she will stop a taxi and put a crate of Coke in the car for me, the taxi for me, drop me home. And so when I was going to secondary school, I went to meet her. I was going to secondary school in Bida. She prayed for me. And then she will send me Bonvita and everything to my mom that she should give to me. And my mom, when I come, my mom will say, your friend sent you, he didn't give you, just go and thank her for it and tell her we saw it. And then my father nurtured that my friendship with her. During rainy season, my father would give me a bottle of Shinap that I should go and give her and tell her, Mama Egba Ekefi Yonu. So she will accept it and she will pray for me. We would gist. So I had many elderly people as my friends, and they tell me stories about their lives, why they took certain decisions in life, and all of that. So I now tend to have more elderly people as my friends. I have many elderly people as my friends. And then I love to just be active. The first job I would have done would have been in the secretariat because I got an appointment in the Ministry of Local Government at that time in 1980, I think in the 80s. But I told myself, I cannot do this ministry work because I followed my dad to the office. I said, how can somebody sit from 7:30 to 3:30? I think I'm too active for that. So it was not an option for me. So I love meeting people. I love to look well. I love to travel. So, I mean, if you love traveling, you will make friends. Exactly. So I try many things. Many times I just sit down and say, okay, can I create something? I didn't know beads was going to be big deal. I just love to make earring from my fabric and I'll make it, I'll look unique. My friends will say, why don't do commercial? I say, no, I just want to do it for myself. So I do it for a few of my friends. So I think by virtue of how I had journeyed in life, made it possible for me not to just focus on academia alone. I mean, growing up in the University of Ibadan, every drama, every arts performance, I'm always at the arts theater because I love to watch it live. I was always at the arts theater. So I think I just love to meet people. I just love to make friends and come to realize that learning goes beyond the four walls of the classroom. We learn more by interaction. And one day, an economist told us what we were doing. He said it was social capital. Professor Adedoyin Shoyibo, we met at one engagement story, and he said, social capital is social capital. All of us were wondering what he meant by social capital. He said, there is social capital that we are dropping into that bank, and that if you don't put anything there, you are not going to be able to draw out anything. So it was later in life, going through management courses, I then come to learn about emotional bank. So it depends on what to drop in. So if you don't have any savings there, you are not going to be able to draw out anything from it. So I learned that people are your strengths. I learned very young in life that you make friends. Our parents encourage it. They say we are not afraid to take our friends home. In fact, there are many people that we've never even seen before. We just say, we saw this person stranded on the road, and we bring the person. The person will sleep in our house. The following day, daddy will carry the person to motor park, and we will never see that person again. So we were brought up to be open, to be hospitable. And then my mom would tell us stories about Abraham and Sarah, that because he was hospitable, he entertained angels without knowing that they were angels, so that you never know who the angel God will send to you. In fact, not talking about it, where the office I'm occupying now, that's the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. When I assumed office, I didn't like what I found on ground. And I jokingly told people working with me, I said, I'm sorry, I can't sit here. They didn't understand what I was saying until they got to my personal office. I said, oh, director, we now understand what you are saying when you say you can't sit in this place. And I said, so how are we going to revamp our infrastructure? I said, okay, let's look into our files. Let's write to friends of the center. So I began writing to friends of the center. I say, come to Macedonia to help. But you see, the greatest help we got was from somebody that if I didn't relate, we may never have gotten that. The person that gave us the greatest link of funding that we got was a young man, a 30-something-year-old man, young man. I went to the main campus. There was a program there, and I was invited. So I got there and I said, how can this kind of place be on campus and my center is not aware? We are not supposed to be running in silos. So I asked, who is in charge of this place? He told me he was in charge. Okay. So we exchanged numbers. So once in a while, I just say, hi, how are you? And that was it. Nothing more than that. Only for him to give me a call one day and said, Ma, if you see 50 million naira, what will you do with it? It was like a dream, 50 million naira. So I took a deep breath and I said, okay. So I said, where are you now? I thought he was still in that outfit. I didn't know the guy was in Abuja at that time. I said, okay, I need he said, okay, send me a proposal. I mean, it was like joke. And I told my people, I said, I don't know, somebody called me. I don't know whether it's real. Let us work together. So we're working all day, all night. And in 2 weeks, he called me and said, have you checked your mail? The letter of award was there. Now, imagine if I looked down on him to say, what has it got to offer? Maybe the beautiful outfit you saw when you came to give that lecture may never have existed, because that was the money we used in putting that place. So I learned that it doesn't matter how small the person is, everybody has a value. Everybody has something to offer. And great solutions come from people we never think about.
Exactly.
So that has been my guiding principle all my life.
Valuing people and never looking down on anyone. Wow, 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 wow. All right. Yes, let's talk about that center, entrepreneurship and innovation. How did you arrive at that? I mean, how did the entrepreneurship side entered the whole of your story?
That's a good question. And I'll use my experience of becoming a director of that place to tell young people that when you are still rising in a system, and they give you, they send you on errands that you think, you don't know when it's going to be of value to you. At that time, it was a committee on university public-private partnership. And it was a senior colleague that was a member. I was not a member. But each time there'll be a meeting, you will say, go. So I keep attending the meetings until the director, well, we didn't have a center at that time, but it was the committee. The convener of the committee, Professor Shoyibo, now said, well, it is you we are seeing now, be part of us. That sending you to will be part of us. If I had frowned and said, I may never have become the director of the place. So I became a member of that team. So when it metamorphosed and evolved into a center, I became part of it. I also have adjunct position with the center. That was how entrepreneurship came into my history.
Wow, 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 wow. And I think the university is blessed having you as the director of that center, because you're doing a very great job. You're doing a very great job. Now we are trying to round up now. Um, some of my listeners are always youth, the young ones trying to find their footings in life, and then of course one of the other things, and many of them are always confused when it comes to the issue of relationship and marriage. Two things in one. I wanted to help talk to the youth of today. How can they make their lives make a meaning? How can they really discover that they are living a much more purposeful life than just a scattered, um, not anything good life? And then the other one is the issue of how you met your husband and how everything flowed into what it is today.
Thank you very much, sir. I want to admonish our younger colleagues that life is not a bed of roses. We must be prepared to pay the price of what it takes. Every great person that you see today paid the price. There will be a time of lack. There will be a time of suffering, in quotes, but one has to be prepared to pay the price. There is no gain without pain. Young people should be prepared to defer gratification, to delay gratification. My mother used to say that meaning that, look, you will have what you are running after now, you will have it in abundance, and you will even be tired of it. In fact, Solomon in the Bible, of all his wealth, he still said everything was vanity.
Exactly.
So young people, we need to be focused. What do I want to make with my life? What do I want to become in life? And also growing up, we had our grandmothers who used to tell us stories, all the alo apamo, and all of that. And in all those tales by moonlight, they helped us to see that as a young girl or as a young boy, if what is paramount in your life is about the opposite sex while you are young, you amount to nothing. That you would amount to nothing. There's a Yoruba adage about that. So we need to be focused to say, what do I want to be in life? And that would be the driving force. We should not settle for mediocrity. We should strive for the best. If you strive to make a first class, for example, if you don't make a first class, you make a 1. But if your goal is to make a 2-2, you can come back and make a 3rd class. So we need to be focused. We need to pay the price of achieving that goal. We need to delay gratification. Then we need to have people that we look up to as mentors. I have mentioned my lecturers. There are people we look up to say, I want to be like this person. I want to succeed like this person has succeeded. And so we can read their stories. How did they succeed? What were the challenges that they went through? If we read their stories, some of the mistakes they made, we will not make those mistakes. And so it will fast track our journey to our destination. So we need to be focused. We need to delay gratification. We should try not to be distracted. There are lots of distraction now, especially with the social media. On TikTok, most young people are on TikTok, on Instagram. All those things will waste our time. I am not saying they are not good, but we shouldn't, because when you are on it, you are just, you won't know when time has gone. So we need to be focused. We need to be able to say no to the things that will not amount to our future. We need to be able to say, do I need to do this now? If I don't do this now, will it do anything to me? So we need to be able to say, this is a must do for me. And bear in mind that we are not getting younger and younger. So there are things that if we don't do them when we are supposed to do them, it may become difficult for us later on in life. And incidentally, I had more male friends than female friends. Most of my friends are male friends. And so people were just wondering what is wrong with her. And I also belong to the category of people who didn't get married on time. And so I have of my lecturers, a mentor, a father, late Professor Joshua Dada Adeniyi is also a great man that we also look up to. So one day he called me and said, my daughter, come. Why are you not married? I hope you are not just focusing on career, that aspect of life is also good. So I smiled. And I said, well, I told him some issues. I said, no, don't worry. Everything will be fine. And so I just told myself, look, people who didn't marry, they came to this world, they did well, and they left, and they made their impact. So I really didn't, not that it doesn't bother me, but it didn't show on my face. People don't know it bothers me. So when I'm in my room, I cry. And then when I come out, I put powder on my face. And I know many of my friends who say, I have a particular friend who said her mother is not always saying, look at your friend. It doesn't bother her that she's not married. You are always looking downcast. So, not that it didn't bother me at that time, but I said, look, let me just get busy while the man is coming. And I use my experience to tell young people to say, don't misbehave, because you never can tell. The man may be around you watching. And I was using as an example. I didn't know my husband had seen me before. I got to know later that he asked his friend, who is that? I have a pet name. My pet name is Queen. And they said, she's Queen. Said, Queen Bo, ye Yoruba ni àbí Igbo. And said, Yoruba ni bo lo ti wá rí Queen. I didn't know he had asked about me. Then I traveled to Abuja one day and came on the same flight with his friend. So he was the one telling me later that his friend said, look, the Queen you are asking about, we came back together because he came to pick his friend at the airport. That we were on the same flight. That he told his friend, it is you I came to pick. If you are not ready, I'm going to drive off. I didn't know the man was around me watching. And the day I will meet him, we met at a church program. Somebody invited me. His friend who had a church invited me to his church. And so the service was going on. I just noticed, I know it's the church where the men sit separately, the women sit separately. I just noticed that somebody had joined the male side that was not there when the service started. So we finished the service and then I greeted everybody. And he just came and said, you know, it was just because you don't know. I said, no, I'm sorry. It's not. Meanwhile, he knows me. It is I that didn't know him. You know, he's been asking questions. So he then came to me and said, I introduced. I said, my name is Arulogun. I was born so, and I was just wondering why. And so I just okay, oh, my name, I'm also Yedun, this and that. And then his friend now said, okay, I thought I was going to introduce you people to each other. You have already introduced yourself, and that was it.
Wow. Wow. And I always love to hear the story of how people met. It may sound similar, but it's never the same. There's always that uniqueness in it. Wow. So God works in mysterious ways.
Yes, because people ask me, is he? So when I said I was going to get married, people were curious. Say, is the man in the system? I said no. Is he in UCH? I said no. Is he in U? I said no. I said, well, I don't know. So everybody was wondering that because everybody thought that whoever I will marry will either be UI or UCH, but my answer has nothing to do with all those two places. And so I said, well, it is God. I don't know. But it's God that did it.
It's just God. Wow. Thank you so much. Just one more last question, then I'll let you go. I know you have passion for people with special needs. I want you to help say something to them. I don't know what. Just help me say something that you always say from your heart to people with disability or people going through such things.
I want to say that one of the most trustworthy friends that I have are persons with disabilities. They are a wonderful set of people. They are honest. They will tell you the way they feel.
Wow.
They will say it the way they feel. And they pray for me. They will just send me a message, say, I just said I should pray with you. I say, Sometimes I say, they are a wonderful set of people. We are the same. The only difference is that they had a challenge one way or the other. But I always encourage them as much as I can that challenge is not a limitation. and I support them as much as I can. Some of them have some side hustles that they do with their job. I support them. I say, continue, you can do it. They have, when I have opportunity to connect them to places, I do that because I know that they have a lot of value inside, that people don't take the patience to see those values. They are wonderful people. I want to encourage them not to look down on themselves. They should strive to bring out the best in them. I know there are issues, there are challenges to actualizing who they are. But if they come together, if they form a formidable group, they can always achieve what they want to achieve. How do I know that? Because I work closely more with those with hearing impairments. And we have worked together now for more than 15, 20 years. And I know that from my interaction with them, they have been able to do many things for themselves. They have done many health programs for themselves. They have helped themselves to identify people who have HIV among themselves, and I help link to treatments. They have done many empowerment programs for themselves. The last time they were addressing women issues, all these ideas came from them. And all we did was to let them see the potentials locked in within them and how they can bring it out. So I want to tell them they're wonderful people. They are wonderfully and fearfully made. They have value. They should not let anybody run them down because of their disability. They should show that despite all odds, they can be of value to people around them.
Wow, thank you so much, man. Thank you. I think that was why when I shared my story at Oyo, you really could relate with it because you deal with a lot of people with disability. People don't always know I have disability until I mention it. So thank you for what you do in the midst of people with special needs. The Lord will always be your strength, man. We always lift you up in Jesus' name. And thank you so much, even for featuring on Tour Talk today. I've learned a
Thank
lot of lessons. I've been writing like 3 pages as you were talking. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. The Lord will keep
you.
doing ways for you.
Amen.
You can never imagine in Jesus' name. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Has been a part of today's edition of Trader. Um, if you're going through any challenge, if you're going through any issue, please don't suffer silently. Feel free to get in touch with me. If I can't attend to your issue, I will direct you to someone that can really be of help. So please just send a text to me, whether on any of the social media handles or my number is on the screen. Feel free to send your number, your situation to me, and I will see how the Lord can raise help for you. And of course, if you're interested in the book, visit tia.com.ng. If you're outside the country, it's on Amazon. And then, of course, if this is playing on YouTube, feel free to subscribe to the channel. If this video blesses your life, like it, and please freely share with others that will find value in it. All right, so Through It All comes up every Thursday, and I'm going to be bringing another wonderful guest along our path next Thursday as the Lord lives. All right, so please stay blessed. Don't run through life all alone. No one is an island in life. The Bible says, he that is desirous of having friends must first show himself or herself friendly. So don't say, nobody likes me. If you don't like people, you find it difficult to get people to like you. Show yourself friendly and you find friends, because friends will take you very far in life. All right. So God bless you. Have a nice evening, and it will always be your strength. And of course, the greatest friend that you can ever find in life is Jesus himself. There's no other friend like that wonderful Jesus. No, not one. Have a great evening, and God bless you. Bye.